Bro, I don't even know why this is here on said measure for the stat finesse. It's not even like that, but I think I still think it's a joke, but I'm not a basketball player for how all the 1 to 5 on the new pentagram escape thought. I just gotta say, it got held up in Staten Island, so there is a color code to why does both said new coworkers have different models of my phone cover. But we're gonna take a snap off of getting that. That's just weird how that happened. I was like, I already knew that, but I'm gonna try. But I swear, if you just shut your mouth and know that I got my own documentary, then you'll be alright in this life. Alright, so the pea shooter, it's kind of cute, and there will be background, but I'm in this like in between home and away, getting a feel. So got this nice coloring. I can feel that the downward lateral ladder. This is what. Now that I've never even seen that this list, so that's a different one. The downward fish. Red. So we're gonna keep our energy close to ourselves. Very Java, imagining. Okay. I'll try my best here. I swear the professionals got need to be able to track past those segments. Okay, we're gonna do a wash on the restart of how stupid that object was that I just heard, and that we're not gonna put that as a world gesture that the new Pentagon was invaded by those said employees who went with the same person. I'd be like, hey, at the amount of intervention for that point on not contact, I never cared at that point. This is no therapy session. I'm not a complete hater. But if it's like you're putting up something like for the reason of saying something, I'm gonna have to say that it's gonna take a lot for me to convince that you have the stats of what that is. Was we'll reassociate with how we're gonna bring the contact of our creatures onto board later. Not gonna just throw out our design like that. Even though we don't want to take the hits for it not being compatible to how our creations versus animals. It's humiliating as much as being patient. So not the difference between voiceover on game and the in roleplay. Focus. I got no personality. think you're the identity of the present moment on something that you challenged, then I gotta say. You sound lame ass. I'm gonna ask you a question. Yeah, because a college girl come prove it to herself is the reason why I'm not making content for something that you have to prove to me. That don't make sense. So pretty much vegetarian. That's all that this Simeon has to say about being part of me. What a sacrifice from silver or gray or what is silverfish? Oh, that's what we'll call them. Until we get regained in 60 days. Yeah, I can't even begin a conversation because that was a good one. That so I feel there's not much of an interest, but there's a mutual determination for getting it to be a number one server versus a number two. I can't let the over capture of what Spectrum's trying to achieve by saying nothing and taking the standard of a medical code or even my code that I don't want transfusion with somebody. How are you gonna put anybody listed on the Broncos in danger to damage? For something that don't make sense. I need a better explanation than that. There's no in time passing of the amount of insects I see. I still exist and look at that view. Still no damage like that. In the correct place at the correct time, all is forgiven. Pretty much, nope. Try to do the Johnson and Johnson on somebody. I swear it's a significant employee to saying something personal about. Spray some J over here. It was not the flunk power, but their own person. And we got somebody on the lethargic of what they're not good at. Using a bizarre group on the body of that acceptance letter. Then they'll be like, oh, I said so much things out of my body versus what I think of the law, so that's set up right there. Now we're able to play this game for my nursing medical. So we're taking the different list of It seems to be different people. You're not that welcome here. That was so stupid. That was somebody's last phrase. So you telling me Opie's Logger made a fake account called Big Dog to say something about being sexist because I'm attractive. So if a big guy he says, "What did you call me?" was a female, then you're saying a female can say females only. So you'd be like, "Why am I not allowed in the door?" That's what you said. Sorry to do that to yourself. You had a Yogi Shikigaru. Yeah, you would like to think it. I think he's gonna go for an Eminem reference before he goes for direct contact. I'm gonna say I don't know much about Antonio, but he still makes me laugh. Where's your all-star and all that? Shaq was like, my Achilles heel. I don't play fantasy football. That's okay. I'm 13. Stuck out for myself. Made 35 a demo on the field that don't even function. That I'm pretending like I'm not helping with. Like I'm not that energy of what keeps replaying. But at least I'm helping the server that already exists. So if I made a principle of what my civilization, the fundamentals you think would not exist, I think it would. It would be more than the fundamental of the excuse of that an NFT works or something that doesn't work works. It'd be more law related to it. I could actually believe in it. It wouldn't be a prissy argument versus the Methodists. Again, he wasn't really gonna say anything, but he tried. And then he tried to do something, and he's like, "Whoa, I'm safe." And then I just kept barking more goes at it. And then it thought it was special, and then made a fake account called Big Dog to show that something about how he was trying to run up on a girl, and what was obligatory for it to be later is what this kind of person thinks. What are you not saying at the moment that you decide not to say something? That's, man, that's a commonality of something that you think is the avoidance of a strength of an area of the field that, and I guess whatever. What is worth a fight in that, really? Yeah, you know what? My actual business stats are really higher than yours. So 40,000, and then adjusted at 3,000 a month. Then what? On implementations down and 250% or 200 ROI on my savings. Like, who are you, bro? I'll break your whole neck for even thinking that you are affecting what is on my platform. I'll make you touch your elbows if you think that this is not serious. So don't mess with me. What you think you got to, what is mine is mine. That's real funny promo. the full circle, the HD modern modern warfare. Look at five trying to create some relativity in a space. Man, this one's even slower. I gotta say, no family and the only person who had an intent on self to push past that abrasion, to be able to breathe and be like, I did this for myself. I would say. There's a difference between being thankful and that really being the barrier of what's set forward. How does a conversation from the 1 to 5 on the new pentagon go into some kind of mayhem? That was not cool shit on the earlier for messing with the All Stars. Hey, you know what? Somebody running 19, and if I would have known that I just in high school would have done something, would have been on TV and be on the first blog on local, and then somebody's fucking my ex-girlfriend because of that, then I would have knew my existence. Be like, whoa, I don't find myself in resistance. Cash flow. That's garbage. Ah. I'm like, I never put you out. I don't even think that feeling ever existed until I knew somebody was that stupid. I'm putting out myself on the narrow that the the ignorance is bliss really did well. Those are my pretend speeches to the screamers. Man, what a hurt. I mean, I'm ready to take the banter of what is the challenge. I don't know. The pea shooter, it's really fun to do that, but when I'm really trying, the RB is escaping to an area to get the recovery. The headshots are fun, but it's not always progressing as far as you want. Thank you for this was just like a little bit of a stay to just a little bit. If I don't, if you're putting something for me not to know and then you didn't put yourself out there for whatever, what reason do you think that I'm going to find myself to dive deep on whatever you're saying? I don't care about what somebody else is. That's not me, what I'm doing. So, whatever that is, taking it beyond ungrateful. I mean, this is why you get background sound and get no advertisement on the gameplay. And I like my guy. He's a dark horse. I talk back to him. I talk bad about him, and I know he got some money in the and I know it's a little bit easier in this game. Okay, but that 3K is a lie. Three 3K is not that truth, and you've hit on some different Decemia note that somebody could pretty much draw colors over you. You're 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 you're, you're something. So once we take out that competitive on the figure, the next thing you know, the piranha wants to bite back and then take the teeth and then go for the attack on that. We're gonna come back with some different stuff beyond the Chinese Zodiac Killer, the Sudoku of controlling that, and the Miss Mayhem of putting a box on there on the Switch, and Anagram. That game have really been helping out, pushing our defense on AI counter attacks. which we didn't even want. So we're gonna have to name our centuries and our allies on the friend list. And pea shooter, he's like a little dude. I like him. It's small, it's beta, and then to everybody saying that you at least don't get 3 years grace period on the eve, and expect somebody to know that the application for an under 65 going well for whatever, and so without saying it, without getting a hit on that, is just the approximation on the real reality of the estimate as a medium technician behavior, self-proclaimed. Like putting that self-proclaimed there for that, imagining that I'm my presence right here, then you take that with you, then that's nothing. Self-proclaimed what? Pretty much the only house that you can get is 1882 West Gettysburg, so nobody thinks that you live around here in comparison to the cost and what you could actually get in comparison to the actual hours that I knew that you were holding up. Who's telling me that I'm self-proclaimed? I mean, I would hope that I would think that I was self-proclaimed because then I'm the one who said it. Then I raised the flag from 2022 March 28th. Page break on the health note of what I've been trying to convey is if you take a look at what these are on what my medical officer level 4 overseer says, it says that schizophrenia, unspecified generalized anxiety disorder, but if you look and listen to each part, you can hear the voltee of said character that is completely separate, and then the body of said character from the generalized anxiety disorder from a time associated with us puking for so, but I'm putting the real part that if looking at this, it's completely separate to the response of what that is, and that it's unspecified shows that somebody carried that as just that part of what they wanted to select. So completely different in the selects of what that is. And that this list is adjusted, and that there was significant points of using that somebody had used this as a tailor of what was passing through. So dysthesmic disorder is the lateral line unable to center the it's like the extinguish of life and the plane of that on a poor excursion to be detached from like the spine in the process of that, or what is being connected to that to see that, and it drops it gives you like a slow drop on what, like we can try our best to re-engineer ourselves when we get a plus plus plus, like when we're talking like we're pretend basketball professor, that the plus 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 right there, that when we get to the second plus that we keep going, that's our engine for that. Else we had different viewpoints, like if we get warm, that the other seasonal allergic rhinitis does the allergy to give us the, I mean, these are things that are personal, like the werewolf stance and the heat of that, and how separating with West Virginia with that when the heat is high is the body of that, and under that is somebody at the ill presence, which we did the basketball thing and said, wow, somebody on 19 thinks that, they get to be out baller because they get to be put on the screen at what, going right out of the bat of playing at whatever. Is that college basketball, or what are we saying? Like, when are people being seen on playing those things, like straight from high school matches? that's pretty bad for somebody trying to set up like that to get something like that. That's fairly mistreated. But even on that, on the motion to get the right thing, to place yourself, it's more like jumping on the run to get the fantasy run of what you're gonna get on how you're acting and how that attitude and that masquerade and drama puts you on the planet. Because the real hits and the real counters of doing stuff like that can take you on what was a very spiritual journey of what was watching Concussion. Concussion was a pretty rough movie. I mean, a concussion from fifth grade sets us off to the possible concussions, and then the fear of somebody at love on the sling helping us try to get that for that amount of time that we don't get that unless we pass whatever. And then schizophrenia could straight up be just the contact of a concussion on the left side and not being able to collect that unconscious. Unspecified says the remnants on the callback was probably dysrhythmic disorder, which we associated to India Mother. And then that body of the other one right there on the Chaos Phantasm. I mean, it's really fun. It's taking it into a different way that wasn't out on the outro. So I did way better on this one. I hope you're proud of me. I'm proud of the progress. Hope you're proud of the stats. I mean, 1,000 is a level, and then when people are playing the board, I say I'll always play the board honestly, because else how are you playing it? The odds are that if you were somebody who couldn't outsay what you got on the turn, and then you were somebody who was saying the next thing on the thief was that you're not supposed to say that on hashtag 10, then that's not even a possibility. That's not a possibility because you saw that, and the way that it was itemized created this like fractional inverted incursion where you were playing reverse on the switch, and then thought the difference was on that, when I could always stickler up for the next person that is moderately ridiculous and then throw out the excess and then not put them on the registry for the Moon Village. Getting kicked out of the Moon Village fantasy villages, that's rough. I mean, I expect enamorous English of quality, relevance to the actual experience. Something that makes sense, that don't put me out as a bitch, like being bitchy. Cause how's that so? Who created that chain, that line right there? That's a unique one. So don't come at me with all this poor banter on how you think you false step on those things. So maybe there was a dual rendition on something that's not even contracted to prove that I know what I was possible to get. So that proves that wasn't really going on. As convenient as a ploy to play that is, like, I'm the contact with that duo. I don't even care for the presence on that. But it's at the same time, it's like I wouldn't want to talk about that too much, and I don't care about whatever gestures or whatever like hate on that player. And it's like toss up on a previous one who won't even show up, and then whatever on a verse rate on something. Like, I wasn't at the command of what would be, so even if I put the authority on the filter that is that, then that's how those things kind of pass through that. Else, dang, by ourselves, whatever, somebody's duplicity morals took a nap, relaxed, reset my algorithm, my metabolism, my BPM, then woke up a little bit better. I'm on train right now, so I can do my kicks really good. Not with the steel plated cast, but with Mercury treads. That would get me so through that I could get a pretty good kick. It's that I got the, like, you know, my other mother's female turning lacquer of the whip on that, so But I think the kick, it, when it's in passion and blood, then that's one thing. But if it's not, then that's another. So we take that body and we don't put ourselves even at what I said mentalism was. As I guaranteed you on the dysysmic of the mind, body, and spirit, that we separated those things, and that really hurt us, and that really made us different. That's a that's okay. The only thing atypical is that we got a straight neck, like incursion, and that we gotta let the devil through on that. Else you're hurting too many girls in the in between. So I gotta say that if I'm making a play on somebody, do I target them and do the juke on that? Like, hey, I punch you as a gamer tag on the switch out of whatever that is that you can write down, and that I'll index. If you really show the proof, I'll index, put it on the card. Somebody calls that Daisy versus Sunflora. Alright, so anyways, that's all. It's not to cut it short, to be too mean, but with this condition, it's really hard to push past the mortification of the necrophiliism of what it is to push past what that thing can pretty much lead you into a leukemia. That you'd be lucky if you got lymphatic to recover the heat energy to make schizophrenia the flooring, even though schizophrenia can be a short tumor, which I think is possible, that it's a contusion between some of the stuff right there that could be like a pathos of something that has a preference. So in like an extension to that, like an implant area almost of. So that's what we got. That's our interpretation. Not the complete thing, but we're not gonna take that end. So when we click end, we're putting the block of our autheritin to make that divide on what's not gonna go on that leash. So, alright, so I reiterated that the vehicle was making a model shape of a Boeing when I had to stop of something, which I don't know if that's cool features or whatever. Then the, well, I did not notice a tank. Well, I actually kind of do remember that. I'm going through chains of like face I'm not even gonna remember. Then the ambulance one, which was super slow, and then straight up stopped me, or that maybe it turned into fury. Like, why didn't you drop off my female auxiliary, the like not the 5.1, but the quarter. Why didn't the quarter adapter get dropped off? So I could do that and set up an aux for that. I don't know. Somebody threw that ring. We're at the previous crib, and that's previous crib is not as the current as this is mine. So that's why I think that I might be able to apply as my own father in income, so I could apply for some better colleges. 65 under. Which is not, I'm not gonna take on a tread of what I would think that is. I mean, if you're telling somebody 65 under, I hope that you're giving something that is, that's not like a, well, if it was a free 2-1-1, but if it was kind of being played out. 50. Because the challenge of the Broncos is too much. I gotta stop right now. I hope I created some air, some oxygen of previous memories. So, alright, good night. No hating on other families, even though I don't really understand the challenges of that. All I said is, I don't think that that person is going to want to stay there and that they should push themselves. And it's like a different chain of not being at the best. But alright, but that's good luck to all the other players on this block. I don't got too many issues. I think just the undesirability of the point 0.5 was going to take everybody out. I mean, you hear that, and even that on the press of what that treatment like is like, even with the output of the attack, with just holding the defense, then that's how rough that is. That's treatment. So people like that away a bit of good feels. Thank you for listening. I know that was rough. I gotta stay alive. Alright.